very much. Well, thank you. Those of you who know Elisa know she's an old West Virginia girl, and I'm an old West Virginia boy. So I told her that was just one West Virginian saying nice things about another one. That's all I know. She was up here talking about some politicians that get it and some don't. I was afraid she was going to say today I have the privilege of introducing you one who doesn't. So I'm glad you said one who does. Good morning. It is good to be with you all. Thanks so much for inviting me to come down and spend just a few minutes with you this morning talking about some of the things that Governor McDonnell and I and our team, Lisa and others, have been working hard to do to try to get Virginia kind of, I like to say, back in the game, you know, when it comes to telling our story and making sure that we're doing everything we can do to help support your efforts to bring visitors into our state. And I think we have, you know, some good news to report on the progress that we've been making. We're not totally where we want to be. We've still got some work to do. We've got some ideas that we've not yet been able to implement that we will before we're done. But clearly, I think we're making some progress and hopefully in a better position than we were, you know, 15 months ago when we started this effort. As you all know, back in 2009, when Governor McDonnell and I were running for office, we made no secret about the fact that our top priority was getting Virginia's economy moving again and creating jobs. That was really, I think, the biggest challenge facing our state at the time and still is, because when you think about it, all the other things that we do in state government, whether it's tourism, it's education, it's transportation, it's healthcare, it's public safety, whatever it is, all of those things pretty much come down to one simple thing. What is it? Money. Yeah, somebody said it, right, money. I mean, you got to be able to invest in those programs. And you know, when people aren't working, they're not paying payroll taxes, and when they're not shopping, they're not paying sales taxes, and they're not buying new cars and trucks, they're not paying motor vehicle sales and use taxes. So we believed and believe that economic growth and economic development is the rising tide that could help lift all ships out of the grip that the recession had on us, families, businesses, and government itself, because it gives us the money we need to reinvest. I have been pleased over the last 15 months to be heading up that effort. The governor asked me to serve as Virginia's Chief Jobs Creation Officer. Sometimes people introduce me as Virginia's job czar, and I cringe when I hear that. I keep telling them we only have czars in Washington, D.C. and imperialist Russia. We certainly don't have any in Virginia. But it's been fun. You know, I really enjoyed this more than anything I've done in 20 years of public service. You know, our focus from an economic development standpoint, and this leads me to talk about what I'm trying to get across to you today is how we view tourism as an important part of our economic development strategy. You know, our focus in economic development has really been on a couple of things, a couple of goals, and then we have some strategies to implement those goals. The goals are pretty simple. Number one, protect Virginia's reputation as the most pro-business state in the nation. You know, it's one of the great selling points that we've had for a long time in our state. We are a very good place to do business. I like to tell folks that we've been successful in the past in our economic development and job creation efforts because we're such a great place to do business. But the truth is sometimes we've been successful despite ourselves and not because of ourselves. Because the truth is that for a lot of years now we really haven't been investing in a lot of our economic development programs like VTC and other economic development programs like we should be. And then the second goal was to enhance our competitiveness by reevaluating our existing economic development programs and reinvesting in our economic development infrastructure. You know, one of the things that I did during the transition back in 2009 is I met one-on-one with the heads of all of our economic development agencies, Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Tourism Corporation, Department of Business Assistance, the Film Office, you know, right on down the line. And almost to a person, the people that I met with pretty much said the same thing. The message was pretty consistent. And the message was that over the last several years, their budgets had been reduced to such a degree that they just found it very difficult to do their job. And certainly that was true in tourism, but it was also true in every one of our other economic development agencies. So we knew we had to reinvest in our economic development infrastructure. We've worked hard to do that. In 2010, we had our Jobs and Opportunity Agenda. In 2011, our Opportunity at Work Agenda. As a result of those two legislative and budget initiatives, we really do have more tools now to help us recruit new business and industry to our state, to help us assist existing business and industry in their efforts to grow and expand. And we've dedicated more resources, a total of over $80 million in just the past 2 years to proven economic development and job creation programs. So we're very proud of that. Now, our strategies for how we get the economy moving again and create jobs are also pretty straightforward. We're focused on three things. Number one, business recruitment. We want to bring new business and industry into Virginia. No secret. You know, we're going after states, places like California and New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and Illinois, places where businesses are just being strangled today with excessive taxation and regulation and litigation and union activity. I just got back from a meeting in the National Lieutenant Governors Association up in D.C. The Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut was, there's no media here, is there? I don't want to talk about the Lieutenant Governor. Strike this from your report. And we were having this session on what states were doing to balance their budgets, and of course we went through that last year, but the Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut was very proudly saying, well, you know, we're just not going to cut services. We're going to raise taxes. And she looked at me and she said, what do you think about that? I said, I think that's great. I think you should just raise every tax, and especially the business taxes. Just sock it to the business. And I got back and I sent the governor an email and I said, we got to go to Connecticut. So, I mean, no secret. I mean, we're going after the states that really are not creating a pro-business environment, because business is going to be where it makes the most economic sense for them to be. And if, you know, if that's in America, they'll be in America. If it's someplace else, they'll be someplace else. If it's in Virginia, they'll be in Virginia. If it's North Carolina, they'll be in North Carolina. So we're really targeting those business recruitment efforts. Second, business development. I mentioned this earlier, helping existing business and industry grow and expand. In the last 15 months, we've closed, I think, about 276 economic development deals all across the state. Deals that will ultimately create over 20,000 new jobs in Virginia. 75% of those deals involve expansions of existing business and industry. And a lot of times we forget that. You know, we go after the new stuff and we forget helping the existing companies grow. The governor was in Martinsville just last Monday announcing the largest economic development job creating project in Southern Virginia in years, 575 new jobs in Martinsville that come about because a Northern Virginia company, ICF International, decided to build a new production facility in Martinsville when they originally were looking at building in another state. We said, why? You know, make that investment in Virginia as opposed to making it someplace else. And then lastly, and that kind of gets to where we are today, tourism. You know, for a long time in Virginia, we viewed economic development and tourism as two very different things. We didn't see tourism as economic development. We view it differently. We believe that tourism is economic development. You all understand that. You know, I'm preaching to the choir. You know, $18 billion industry, over 200,000 people employed in tourism in Virginia. It is a big business. It is an economic driver for our state. And frankly, I think from a tourism perspective, I just can't think of another state anywhere in America today that has more to offer than we have here in Virginia. You know, the problem was that we just haven't been doing a good enough job telling our story, and that's a resource issue. And being able to go out there and, you know, like every time you turn on the TV, you see those obnoxious ads about the Robert Trent Jones golf trail in Alabama, or those ads about Michigan. Look, I've been to Michigan. Why would anybody want to take a vacation in Michigan? I absolutely don't understand that. But, you know, they stepped up to the plate. You know, they were doing a great job marketing their states. And, you know, we knew that we had to do that. Tourism, we believe, is a good, clean industry. We were talking a little bit earlier over here about some of the exciting things going on up in Luray. with the caverns and just a number of the new museum, a number of other things they're doing in Luray. And we made the point, when you think about it, people come here from, all around the country to visit our historic sites, mountains, beaches, all we have to offer. They come here, they visit our historic sites, our attractions, they shop in our shops, they eat in our restaurants, they stay in our hotels, and then they go home. And, we don't have to worry about, everything else that goes along with, public safety, transportation, schools, and all. That's just a great, clean industry for Virginia. So that's why we've spent so much time in the last 15 months trying to support and grow Virginia's tourism economy. And as I've said before, we're really very pleased with the progress we've made. In fact, I would go so far as to say that, at least in my judgment, this administration has done more in the past 15 months to support Virginia's tourism industry than any prior administration in recent years. We're just getting started, okay? We know that there's a lot more to do. Let me just touch on some of the highlights. In the last 15 months, we've increased funding for the Virginia Tourism Corporation by $7.2 million. Well on our way to keeping a campaign promise of doubling our tourism budget over the 4 years of this administration, and we will achieve that goal. Of that, we've dedicated $3.6 million to VTC's marketing campaign. And as a result of that, for the first time in a long time, we're aggressively running regional TV ads promoting Virginia as a great place to take a vacation. I know you've seen them, but this is the most recent one that we have up and running. I think it turned out pretty. This is where we see if the technology works. So, that's good. It helps us tell our story. We've invested about $4 million now in additional funding in the governor's, in the Virginia Film Office. $4 million in additional funding for the governor's Motion Picture Opportunity Fund. We also, last year, passed legislation, a new tax credit program for production expenses incurred in Virginia. Rita is a very happy lady these days, and she's also been very successful. As you know, we've had a number in the last 15 months of motion pictures and documentaries that have been announced here in Virginia, specialty films and the like. And we will have some other exciting announcements in the next few weeks. And in the business, that's what we call a teaser. Stay tuned to see what those exciting announcements are.